You know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it a back day. Yeah, I got game, God in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it Turnpike Miles. Yeah, it's Google signing on, John to the Hancock, and I'm always key, I'm ready to unlock. I be doing big things.
Welcome back, everyone, to the newest edition of Once a Week. I'm Billy Janeludis, and as you guys can see, we have another great guest in store for you, and I'm excited for this one. Because our guest today has achieved at the highest level in sports, having won the 1998 Olympic gold medal in Japan for aerial skiing, to overcoming severe injuries to continue to do what she loves, to becoming an author and writing about the secrets of successful people, and to now traveling and speaking around the country, inspiring and motivating people to succeed at the highest level as well. Guys, she has an incredible story. Everyone, I give you Nikki Stone. Nikki, I thank you so much for being here and joining us here on Once a Week.
Billy, I'm so honored to be here with you.
Phenomenal. No, and like I said in that, you have such a great story. I've heard it before because we connected through a speaking program, which has helped us both out in certain ways. But the first time I heard your story, I'm like, oh my goodness, I got to talk to Nikki. Because just one, the Olympic aspect, but the mindset it took to really get to that level, and then the hurdles that come after just the win of the severe injuries and everything. You're someone that embodies this, hey, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep moving forward until I get the win. So dive into that. Whether it was you getting into the Olympic factor or just picking this up, like how does your story start from your perspective in your eyes?
So I dreamt of winning the gold medal since I was 5 years old. And I actually built a podium out of tables and chairs to make my own Olympic podium. I saw a gymnast named Nadia Comaneci score a perfect 10. And I wanted to be her. And so I had this dream my whole life of achieving this Olympic gold medal. And one thing that helped me was when I was young, my parents told me about a philosophy for success. And they said you have to be like a turtle. You have to be soft on the inside, you have to have a hard shell, and you have to be willing to stick your neck out. Okay. And so it's something that I used throughout my career, and I still use today to help audiences understand how they can build that turtle and make it soar.
Okay, I like that. And I love the concept too. Like, you've had this goal from you were 5, or you had this goal when you were 5. To me, that's what separates people, is when they're kids, they choose this goal, they choose this lifestyle they want to live, and then it's as if, whether you step into manifestation aspects just as much, it's as if the path begins to pave its way for you. So at 5 years old, you set in this tone to where you achieve it, and then that concept, dive a little bit more into that, the turtle aspect, where I completely get the hard shell, especially, I can only imagine the hard shell needed when you're in front of so many people trying to win, but then winning, you probably need even harder shell, because that's when the public eye really gets onto you. So were there any struggles with trying to create that hard shell for yourself?
Yeah, there were 2 enormous struggles. The first was at my first Olympic Games. I went in thinking I could win an Olympic medal because I was ranked 3rd in the world at the time. And it overwhelmed me. It got the best of me, and all I thought about was winning, rather than the steps it would take in order to help me win. And so after those games, I realized I had to make every day the Olympics rather than the Olympics like every other day, because it's not. It's not. It's a bigger event. It's global. It's in your face. And so by making every day the Olympics and imagining what conditions I would have, imagining how many people would be there, imagining the sights, the smells, the sounds, and trying to visualize all that and put it in perspective when I got to the games, it really helped me.
Yeah.
And then the other enormous hurdle I had was a spinal injury. And it was actually from landings. It wasn't a big crash or anything. It was the landings, because we're going 50 feet in the air, which is the height of a 5-story building.
Yeah.
And so you can imagine jumping out of a 5-story building and landing and being able to ski away. So this compression over time injured 2 of the discs in my lower back. And I was in a contest. I was hoping to go on to finals. I was ranked 2nd in the world at the time, and I wanted to be 1st.
Yeah.
And so I kept pushing myself even though I was in pain. And I got to a point where I couldn't move. I was lying at the bottom of the hill. I was trying to bend forward, and I couldn't bend forward in order to stand up. and realized, this may be the end of the road for me. And I went
Wow.
home and saw numerous doctors, and they all told me that it wasn't a muscle spasm, which I thought it was. They said it's internal disc disruption. And they told me that 2 of the discs in my lower back were damaged. They wouldn't repair themselves, and I had 10 doctors tell me that I would never ski again. And so
Wow.
it was devastating, and there was a lot of soul searching, a lot of avenues I had to take in order to come back to achieve that Olympic medal just 18 months before my second Olympic Games.
Wow, that's incredible. That to me is a whole different part of the story. And do you use that to kind of help people understand the true mindset? Because if 10 doctors are telling you, hey, you're never going to ski again, did it take another doctor say, hey, you can do this? Or was it more so you're like, I know my body, I know what I'm capable of, I know I can push through this hurdle. What was the kind of final deciding factor for you to kind of realize, I'm going to try again?
Yeah. So I will say I'm human.
Yep,
And
right.
there were times that I wanted to give up, and there were times that I felt defeated. And I went into a depression at the time. And the one thing that snapped me out of it, actually 2 things. One is I found a poem that was given to me by a girl when I was 10 years old in gymnastics.
Okay.
And it was called You Mustn't Quit. And reading that poem again and realizing and remembering why I wanted to push forward and why it was important for me to go out there and push through any obstacle that was in my way was essential. And then I also found a picture of a man named Joe Frazier,
Okay.
the boxer from the
Yeah.
Olympics. A lot of people know he won a gold medal in 1964, but they may not know that he did it with a broken hand. And so I figured this man needs his fist for boxing as much as I need my back. And so it
Yeah.
kind of gave me that fire again to start looking for doctors. And I did
Yeah.
find a doctor in Boston, Massachusetts, who
Okay.
told me I could come back from this. It wouldn't be surgery, because if they had to fuse 2 of the discs in my lower back, I wouldn't be able to bend my back enough to be able to come back to the sport. So he had me build up the muscles in my back to support those injured discs.
Okay.
And by having that strength, it allowed me to be able to come back and jump again. But it was excruciatingly painful.
Yeah.
And I had to find a number of avenues to help me to be able to push past that pain so that I could go out there and endure.
Wow, that's incredible. Talk about powerful just as much. That's inspiration at its finest. Now, I can only imagine the pain of trying to land for the first time after that. Even if you strengthened it up, that to me has to be one of the biggest hurdles ever. Because like you're anticipating this is going to hurt. This I haven't done this in however long, but the training factor. I think the build up to that, is something a lot of people tend to overlook. So when you were training your back muscles, you were training everything around the disc for that matter. How was that process? Painful, yes, to strengthen those muscles, but that was the deciding factor for that matter.
Yeah, and it's very mentally draining. You're pushing yourself beyond what you think is possible. And the one thing that helped me get through it was a quote by General George S. Patton that said, "Success is how high you bounce after you hit rock bottom." And I figured I am at rock bottom, and if I'm going to be able to bounce back,
Right.
I have to be strong. I have to have that hard outer shell.
Yeah.
And so I imagined a hard super ball bouncing back. And so I took a super ball with me every time I'd go to the gym.
Okay.
And I was in that excruciating pain. I'd bounce my super ball and remind myself that you've got to stay strong. This is the way to bounce back. And it was that visual reminder that helped me endure a lot of the pain, push through, and to be able to come back. It's something that, like I said, has never gone away. It's always going to be there.
Yep.
But for me, that's just a reminder of what I've pushed through and
Yep.
what I was able to endure.
Seriously, yeah. Oh my goodness, I love that. And it really shows what you bring to audiences now with teaching people success for sure, but the mindset that you had to create for yourself, the visualization as you went over, you had to visualize the Olympics from, not just this one day, but every single day. You had to visualize the audiences, visualize the jump, visualize everything, to then now being injured, visualizing the Super Bowl, bouncing it, and truly seeing like, all right, I can get through this. And that was like your anchor, where you were able to kind of come through it. So now when you're speaking to audiences, do you use that to help people kind of create their own anchor, Super Bowl for that matter, where, hey, no matter what you're going through, you can bounce back? Like, how does that come into play?
Yeah, I do, and I share with audiences. I actually have 2 Super Bowls. One of them is mushy, and you
Okay.
can see that it doesn't bounce back, and it's just that visual that they need, and
Yep.
I give audiences all Super Balls afterwards.
Awesome.
And I have people come up to me years later and say, I still have my Super Ball on my desk, and I bounce it every time that I'm going through those hard times.
Yeah.
But there was a number of other things. For me, I studied sports psychology, and I have my master's in sports psychology.
Okay.
And there were so many skills I learned from that as well. For instance, there was one activity that you would hold your arms out to the side, and you would try to resist pushing the person holding your arms up. You try to push them down.
Okay.
And when I first did this drill, they said to think about something in your mind. So close your eyes, think about something in your mind that is depressing or sad or makes you feel like you're not whole. And at the time, my mom was going through cancer, and when they pushed down my arms, they just completely collapsed.
Okay.
And when they asked me again to put my arms out to the side and think about something positive, something that gives you strength, it's empowering, I thought about how my mom was going through this, but that our family was such a strong unit. She had good doctors, and we were always going to be there to support her. And I had I had this great strength that I didn't even know that I could be that strong.
Yeah.
And so I share this with audiences as well to help them understand that it's not just a physical strength you have, it's also a mindset that again and again studies show that you are much stronger, much more capabilities when you're thinking positively.
Seriously. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Plus your background in sports psychology too. I can only imagine how much that one helps you but helps other people. But I love that point right there where how one positive thought creates such a strength in the human body, because it's mental strength for that matter. So now that's why I think you have such an incredible message, because your story itself is someone that has set the goal for herself and she achieved that goal to then using that story to empower others. But it's that message in itself where it doesn't have to be someone pursuing the Olympics. It could be someone pursuing, I don't know, a business or a family or whatever it is. Hurdles are going to come. Pain will come, but to keep your mind focused on, yes, a positive, but that strength that you have in you, and not letting the world, for that matter, or whatever comes your way, pull you down. That, to me, is the basis of your incredible story. And that, if you're inspiring us just in that one, your arms up aspect, oh my goodness, that to me is like one small example that could be used for so many people in this entire world. I love that. That's so powerful.
There's so many translations from sports to business world. We're all achieving success. We're climbing that mountain. We all want that pinnacle performance.
Right.
And so it really easily translates. I talk to audiences about building their confidence, and I use an activity that I shared from athletes that I did myself, in that you think about your greatest success in this last year. And you try to ask yourself all these questions that were related to that success. How many hours did I sleep the night before? What was my confidence level that day? What was my energy level that day? And you can take everything that was working for you on your most successful day, and if you could replicate that to be able to have another successful day, it would give you a lot of confidence. And that's what gave me great confidence when I got to the Olympics, is knowing that I had everything working for me. I had gone through, realized what made me so successful, what I would eat for breakfast, how many hours I'd sleep the night before. Believe it or not, I was better when I was low energy, when I was actually tired. And so I would gauge that so I wouldn't sleep as much the night before the Olympics, and it put me in the right mindset. And it works the same in the business world, that if you can analyze and find all your strengths and what is actually working for you on your best day, and replicate that so that you can use this on an important day that's coming up for you in the future.
That's awesome. And I agree with that wholeheartedly, because life anyone's immediate life is a factor of habits and routines and behaviors that we follow. So if people can really hone in on the strengths and what builds them up for these habits, as you did, there's no limit to the success that can come out of that. And then, as I'm sure you did just as much, you reach a certain point and you have to make the adjustments. It's like this, you keep going up the ladder, for that matter, where you can see it. So dive a little bit more into that, because I think that's something a lot of people overlook, because we're also stuck in the hustle and rush of the world nowadays. We don't actually set the time aside to figure out what our habits and our routines are. And if especially in business, for that matter, and that's like when I've spoken to companies just as much, it's always to come in and kind of help de-stress the company. And how do we de-stress the company? Well, the only way you can de-stress the individual is to help them de-stress themselves. And if we're only focused on the negative, we're only focused on I have to get this done and the stress and all the external, we're missing on the internal that creates the habit itself. So when you're helping these people and these companies truly elevate themselves, because that's what you're doing, and create better patterns, how do you go about that? How do you essentially help someone change their life with what you've done for yourself? It's powerful.
Yeah. Well, it's really important to have practice, to be able to do something again and again and have an understanding of why you're successful. And when I wrote my book, When Turtles Fly, Secrets of Successful People Who Know How to Stick Their Neck Out, I did interviews with each of the people like Tommy Hilfiger, Dr. Stephen Covey, Steve Young, Shaun White, Lindsey Vonn, and people from all different fields and all different backgrounds. And I would ask these people, when you were most successful, what was working for you? What was your strength? What gave you that success? And there was one group of individuals that every time I'd ask them, they knew right away why they were most successful. And that group was the athletes. And it's because they're constantly analyzing what works for them or what doesn't work. You know, they're watching videos every day. They have coaches helping them. They have sports psychologists helping them.
Right.
And so to take a page from the athletes, to look at why you're successful, to be able to go back and analyze what I'm having success with and where my strengths lay and what gives me the most confidence, it's going to be able to help you moving forward.
I love that. That's good right there. So viewers right now listening, or even people having this on the background, take that. As Nikki just said, take the time for yourself, as you might not have sports psychologists, you might not have coaches, you might have people in your corner, but you have yourself. And to really, even if that's 5 minutes where you take a piece of paper and a pencil and you write down what works for you or what's worked for you in the past or what allowed you to achieve whatever aspect of success you have in your life. And that's something I need to reiterate to people. A lot of people have more wins than they give themselves credit for. And if we start to really analyze that aspect, where a win is just you waking up in the morning, for people that struggle with depression, for anxiety, for all that kind of matter. So if you do that, that's a win. And I think being able to emphasize these wins, no matter how small or how big they are, sets the tone for what your daily habit can be and your routine can be to allow you to create a successful pattern, as Nikki teaches at her gigs and everything, but also in the book. And you brought up the book. Now, give more information on the books. I had a question on that, where now that you mentioned at the start of this interview the turtle aspect, now I understand the title a little bit more. So that's awesome. But dive a little bit more into your book. Where can people find it? Because that's something I want to pick up for myself, because I just found out about it earlier this week. But dive a little bit more, because I think that's such a powerful message right there.
The book is on Amazon, but if they go to my website and purchase it there, I will autograph it, sign it to whoever they want it to, and ship it off to them.
Awesome.
And it was a lot of work, this book. Being able to help get the book in the voice of 40 different contributors was an extreme challenge. But it was so great to see that no matter what field the people were in, they still found a lot of success connected to the turtle, to having that soft inside, the hard shell, and sticking their necks out. And I had some amazing people that were a part of this book. There was a gentleman that was in the 95th floor of the second Twin Tower, and he was able to get out, and because of this he went and joined the military and wanted to fight back for our country. I had a little boy who had no arms and no legs, that is able to go out there and lead a normal life because of the strengths that he had. And I have famous people, not so famous people, no matter the field, no matter what they're in, they still all use that turtle effect to be able to find their success.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That's awesome. I love that. That's cool. And that, just like you said, famous people, not famous people, because I think everyone's writing their own story in that aspect, right? It doesn't matter if your name's all in big lights or not. There's a story you're writing that you succeed at. And I think that's powerful. I'm going to go buy the book off your website. I like to get the autograph. That's awesome.
I'm happy to send that to you.
Right? I love it. That's awesome. But no, seriously, Nikki, I think that the book itself, even if people take this message and run with it, but to have the hard copy of this message, but other people's messages just as much, that to me is always in the toolbox. So for listeners right now, go to Nikki's website. Heck, go to Amazon if you want to go to Amazon. I got to get the autograph. But go to the website and grab it, guys, because I think that's major. But Nikki, now I got to ask you again, because you wrote the book. I'm writing a book right now, and as you mentioned, the work it takes to write the book. does that rival the work it took to become the Olympian? Because that's a lot of work to put into the book, you know?
It was a lot of work, and one thing I love myself is challenging myself in fields that didn't necessarily come naturally.
Yeah.
Even going into speaking, you know, you get the nerves before you go speak, and then you get on stage, and it's this performance, and it was being able to share that success that you had with the people around you. And it's the same with the book, you know, to be able to take the lessons that I learned and to be able to share that with the public is incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
And although these 2 jobs, or 3 jobs, you know, speaking, writing, winning my medal, were all challenging, I still think the hardest job out there is being a parent.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
So being a mom, I know, you know, so many people in the public actually have that, and of all the things I've accomplished, it's one that's very familiar with everyone else that I find the biggest challenges, but also the biggest rewards.
Oh, for sure. I believe that. That's awesome. Go into that, because I think there are a lot of parents listening right now, watching right now. How now, as much as that's the more tougher challenge, we'll say, of the Olympics to writing, have you needed to use, or have you used, I should say, all the traits you've gained from your own success, from your strengths? Have you passed that to your kids? Have your kids look up to that? Give us a little window into that perspective.
Well, I think the greatest thing I learned from being a parent is how amazing my parents were. And
Okay.
there's such a fine line between support and pushing, and I'm still struggling to find that line because I want to be there for my kids and I want to give them the encouragement, but I also want to make sure that I'm not the one pushing them, because the drive has to come from them. That drive came from me, and my parents were so incredible at letting me know that they were always there, but it was my goals, my accomplishments, my drive that helped me win that Olympic medal. And
Yeah.
so I'm constantly reminded of that. And the other day, my son said to me, you know, it'd be a lot easier if I didn't have a motivational speaker for a mom, because I'm always sharing these little lessons and these quotes, and it's always expecting something to improve what he's working on, and so he constantly has to hear it from mom all the time.
That's awesome. I understand his perspective, but at the same time, like, you have such an incredible person in your corner at all times. That could be any mom out there right now, but talking about you, Nikki, you bring so much to the table. I can only imagine, you know, as much as your son can say, oh, you know, it'd be a lot easier if the motivation wasn't always there, but that must keep your kids at, you know, in my eyes, a level above. You know, it allows them to. Do you find that they're setting goals themselves that might set them apart from people their age? Do you find that they look at your story and it gives them, I don't want to say a leg up, but it gives them kind of a target to shoot for? Not that they have to be Olympians, but to excel, for that matter, at a high level.
I think what I'm able to translate for them is that anything's possible. And it was something that my parents helped me believe. When I was 5 years old and said I was going to win the Olympics, there's not many people that are going to do that in life. You have a better chance of winning the lottery.
Yeah.
So for them to help me believe that that was possible helped me excel and be able to push myself forward. And so I do the same for my children, is let them know that anything's possible, but it's going to take a lot of hard work. It doesn't just happen.
Right.
The people that have the greatest success are the ones that arrive early to work and they leave late. And they're always putting in that extra 5 minutes because it does make a difference in the end.
Yeah. Right? Oh, I agree to that. That's awesome. I can only imagine what success your kids are going to have, you know, just to have that, you in the corner, but that mindset always there. You know, whether they are always in that mindset or can flip the switch on and off, as I think most kids need to do that every once in a while, but it allows them, like, oh, hey, this is the level I'm going to excel to, and just to have the backing of that extra 5 minutes. You know, that really does set the tone. Even when writing a book, you know, oh, I'm done. Well, let me write for a little bit longer. That concept always comes into play. So I think that's powerful, Nick. I love that. And I agree with you in the concept of, you know, you might have a gold medal, you might have a book, but being a parent's got to be one of the most rewarding aspects out of all of it. Wow.
And it most definitely is. And you know, one other lesson that I teach them is to enjoy what they do.
Yeah.
you know, there's something that my father always told me is to find what you love to do and then find a way to make money at it.
Yeah.
And it's that love, it's that soft inside
Yep.
of the turtle. Having that passion for what you do is what's going to be able to push you past any obstacle that's standing in your way.
Yeah.
If you love it enough, if you are driven enough to work towards this, then every day becomes something you're enjoying doing and not just a job.
Yeah, I agree to that. And that's something, I think that concept, we hear that concept from, you know, people that have achieved great feats in the world, just like you yourself. I think that concept has been forgotten by a lot of people in the world, where they could be chasing a paycheck, they could be chasing what they're told to do from a young age, what school tells us and directs us to do. But I truly believe when you step out on what you feel you're called to, your purpose, your passion, what sets you up and makes you alive, for that matter, when you start to take steps into that area, the money might not be there instantaneously, but if you're following that love on your heart, you find that the money finds you because you're just moving forward in what you love. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Yeah.
Yeah. It
That's
was
awesome.
interesting that I found one thing that I did love was the standing up to my fears,
Cool.
to be able to take those challenges. And I actually, believe it or not, I'm afraid of heights.
Okay.
And
Wow.
going to the height of a 5-story building. But to have that exhilaration of going up there and standing up to those fears, it was such a great passion that afterwards to feel how empowered I was, to know that I stood up to something that was a
Yeah.
challenge. And it was putting myself in the face of danger. It was going out there and trying things that were harder, because the only way we're ever going to grow is to take ourselves out of that comfort zone and to put ourselves somewhere where we are going to develop and we are going to be able to take risks, to try something new. But then understanding that there are many times that we're going to fail.
Yep.
I probably failed many more times than I've accomplished things. But it's through all those failures that we gain experience, we grow, and we develop into something as a more whole person.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. That's awesome. I talk about, like I said earlier, talk about inspiration, talk about motivation, but the concept of being able to face your fears. And now I got to ask you on it, where being afraid of heights, the 5-story building aspect, and then being in an event where you're literally going up and then coming right down. Explain that a little bit more, because that's something right there.
It was kind of nice at the Olympics that, you know, we have 40,000 people at the bottom of the hill. You
Okay.
have TV cameras 6 inches from your face, so you know that this is being televised to the world.
Yeah.
And yet, all I was thinking about was my jump, because I was so fearful of doing triple backflips. That was
Yeah.
my first year to do triples, which is 3 times over the 50 feet in the air. And I was so focused on trying to survive that I didn't get pulled in by everything else going on around me. And it was being able to stand in that moment, face those fears, and not worry about the results or what would come of it, but the steps that would help me take in order to achieve that medal.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, do you find that in speaking to audiences and speaking to individuals for that matter, I think when fear is brought up as a topic, a lot of people either like, yep, I can agree with that, or some people, they shy away. So in you being able to explain how you had to face your fears, like you're put on the world screen right now while facing your fears, and then you came out on top. How do you find people respond to that? How do you find people hear your message and then can overcome their fears just as much as you did? Because I think that's a big, major connection.
And I think it's normal. It's
Yeah.
normal for us to be scared of the unknown. It's normal for us to be scared of going 50 feet in the air with skis on. You know,
Yeah.
these things are normal. But if we don't try, then we've already failed.
Yeah.
So it's a quote by Wayne Gretzky: "You miss 100% of the shots you never take."
Right.
And so I know something as simple as a child going to college. You know, they don't want to apply to that school because they're afraid of failing. Well, if they don't apply, then they didn't get in, and that's already a failure.
Right.
So you might as well give yourself that chance in order
Yeah.
to succeed. And so the biggest thing we have to make sure is that we're not afraid of failure.
Yeah.
Everyone has failures. Everyone has setbacks.
Right.
And if you have enough of them, you're going to find success as well.
Yeah.
And so we have to push through those, know that it's normal, know it's okay, and these risks are going to be worth it.
Yeah.
And I have people weigh out their pros and cons. What can I actually gain from this? If it's something that you're not going to gain much, or you really don't care about the outcome, then maybe it's not worth the risk.
Yeah.
But if you're going out there and you're saying, well, this is all I can gain, you know, I could win an Olympic medal by trying this. It was worth it for me to go out there and try it. And so you have to make sure that you have the right element driving you, pushing you forward, propelling you to achieve that success, to make sure it's worth you taking the risks in the long run.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's awesome. And to add to that, I feel like being able to embrace that fact where you could fail, where you have to step into that face of fear, that in itself connects to something we said earlier with finding what your passion is, to find what lights you up and your joy. Because when you go up to an obstacle, for that matter, and the fear is there and you try it and you fail, if you continue to get up, you're going to find what your passion is connected to. If you say, you know what, I'm done with this, you know that wasn't your passion. But I think that has to open the door to people realizing they have to ask themselves a question at that point where, do I want to keep doing this? And the ones that are passionate about it will say yes. And I'm sure that came into you becoming the gold medal Olympian because, yes, you faced failure. I'm sure there were certain competitions, like you even mentioned at the start of this, there were times where you were third in the world or second in the world for that matter. So you're not number one, is Ricky Bobby right there. But, you think about it, there's failure in that. But because you were so passionate about it, it was like life was like, hey, keep going. And if you want this, you're going to get it. Sure enough, you got your goal. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're not going to win every day.
Right.
And it's not the Olympics every day. So you have to love every day that's getting you to that end point.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, Nikki. I love it. I think you bring so much to audiences. You bring so much to people in inspiration, motivation for sure. But like I want to emphasize in this video, which we touched on numerous times, the habits, the mindset, the success. It doesn't have to be an Olympian, but you have gone the path to teach people at the highest level. This could be you. Now, it doesn't have to be an Olympic event, but it could be someone in a business, could be someone in a family, a parent for that matter. Whatever the goal is, you embody the habits and routines of this incredible mindset. So to bring that to audiences, oh my goodness, I can only imagine. That's powerful. I give you so much credit for doing it, Nikki. That's why I'm so appreciative of you being on once a week with us, because if people listening right now, if viewers watching right now can take that message and really take the time for yourself and bring it into your own life. Take what Nikki has done in her life and truly see, all right, if she took the time to figure out the positive, the strengths, the confidence, the skills, what area she's good at that in, and then you take it to yourself, you find, oh my goodness, this could be me too. So listeners, viewers, take Nikki's story and use it. But Nikki, now I got two last questions for you before we close this whole thing out. One, where can people find more of you? Because you mentioned your website, you mentioned Amazon. Are there social media people can find you? And then the last question, you can kind of go 1 and 2 with them. What's a final message you want to leave with people before we close this whole thing out?
Yeah, so my website is nikkistone.com. They have links to my social media on there. Nikki Stone Gold on LinkedIn. I do have 2 YouTube channels, and again, they can find that on nikkistone.com. And as your second question was, a message to leave everyone with.
Yep.
I guess it's the same message that I teach my children: is everything's possible. We do have to push hard. It's not going to just happen for you. Life doesn't just come your way. You have to make life present for you. You have to make sure you love what you do, move forward, and take the bull by the horns and realize that if I want to accomplish this, I'm going to be the one that has to make it happen.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's a great point to end on right there, Nikki. I appreciate you saying that. And guys, that's why I asked her, where can you find her? Reach out to Nikki, find her story, grab her book like I'm about to do, and truly dive into these positive messages she just touched on. We just touched the surface with this interview. That's why I wanted to have you here, so you can dive deeper. Find Nikki, reach out to her, and try and see how this relates to you for that matter. And then also, to finally put the period at the end of it, if you're someone that is looking for a speaker to speak to your company, to speak to your school, to speak to at your conference, whatever it is, and you're looking for an inspiration, a motivational message, someone that can come in and truly embody this and teach people, I'm telling you, Nikki is a go-to. Reach out to her if you are in that position, if you're looking for someone to come in, because as this message touched on, she brings so much to the table. As her story embodies, she brings even more. Guys, reach out to her and see if you can book her for that gig. But Nikki, I thank you so much for being here on Once a Week. I think that was only a half hour. We hit point after point after point. That was powerful. So I appreciate you really jumping into the swing of things with us. And like I said, it's been a blast, and I hope to have you here on Once a Week again, because I think there's more to your story. We only touched the surface of certain areas, but you bring a lot to the table for that matter.
As do you as well. So thank you, Billy. I really appreciate you inviting me.
Of course. No, it's been a blast. Guys, I thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to have all of Nikki's links and websites and everything in the credits of this video. They're going to be in the YouTube description as well, so you can click on them and go right there. And then if this is your first time here, guys, please hit that thumbs up button below, hit the like message so we can get this to more people. If at any point anything Nikki or myself said in this video sparked something in your mind or someone popped into your mind, to me that is a clear-cut sign that you need to share this message to them. Whether that's to share Nikki's message, share something we talked about, help someone with this video, because that is the purpose of our channel, is to help everyone we can. And please, if you have not already, subscribe to Once a Week so we can continue to help more people if you have not already. But Nikki, one last time, thank you so much for being here. It's been a blast.
Thanks, Billy.
Awesome.
You know I've been around and doing it, but now it's my time to shine and start proving it. I'm losing it, I'm moving it. The city is where I'm made, Bostonian flow, I kick it a back day. Yeah, I got game, God in a fan way. We the city of the champs, every sport we play. Spit wetter than the harbor, yeah, I'm flowing like the Charles. I be speeding on this beat, call it Turnpike Miles. Yeah, it's Buku signing off.